Good morning and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. I hope you guys are well. All's fine here, nothing too dramatic. I've had a bit of issues with an abscess, so I'm on antibiotics at the moment and I'm in agony. Actually, it's starting to recede a little, but it's been a very uncomfortable few days, so I thought I'd cheer myself up by making a video. And today's video, another list. I do apologise, I'm getting a bit list heavy at the moment, but normal services will be resumed. Today we're talking about this stuff. Cinnamon. Now, cinnamon, fantastic in cookery and absolutely amazing in perfume too. It was only when I kind of started thinking about it that I realised just how many fragrances I have that have cinnamon in them. Some are more dominant and some are just using cinnamon as a spicy support note. Obviously, spicy fragrances tend to be really, really good in cooler weather. So as you know, we're coming, well into autumn and we're heading towards winter, I thought this would be a pertinent video. Now, we've done a video on leather, we've done one on grapefruit, we've done one on tuberose, and we've done one on tobacco. So I thought it's only fitting that we do one on cinnamon. Now, cinnamon often gets paired with cardamom. It smells pretty good. It's spicy. It's often warm. It can be quite sweet. So it really does help certain perfumes, march on their journey to greatness. So what we've got is we've got 10 here to have a look at today. As always, I've looked at my collection and we've selected some that are going to be sort of the more niche, more expensive. But you'll be pleased to know most of these are actually quite low cost or moderate cost. So this isn't going to be a list of really, really expensive perfumes because, obviously, when you're looking to buy a perfume, cost does come into it. And obviously what we're trying to do at Questioning Sense, me and Rich, is be honest about our collection because we don't only just wear expensive fragrances, we wear a lot of cheapies as well, or should I say more budget-friendly fragrances. I use the word cheapy, but I think it's a bit disrespectful to the perfume. So anyway, we've got 10 to get through, and I've tried again to select some that we don't see in many videos and some that obviously you're going to be very familiar with. So, shall we get on with it? Okay, first up, we're going to look at this one, which is an incredibly affordable fragrance. And to be honest, one I kind of enjoy more now than when I first got it. I think maybe it's weather dominant or, whether the weather situation has changed my appreciation for it. But here we have Lattafa's QAA'ED. Look at the bottle. It did feature recently in another video, but this is a really good perfume. There's a lot of cinnamon in here, but there's a lot of cloves with it, and then it becomes quite leathery. There's a lot of saffron in here. It's a very Middle Eastern fragrance. It has been touted, and I've said this before, as a bit of a beast mode. I don't think it is. I think this has got really good performance, but I don't think it's a beast. But I think for the price, there's very few fragrances on the market that are going to be as good as this. This is a beautiful, very smooth, very Middle Eastern style kind of grown-up masculine fragrance. It would be perfect for work. It's quite a luxurious smelling fragrance, despite the fact you can have this for around £15-16 or even less if you trawl through eBay. So this is really good. This is QAA'ED by Lattafa, a good solid offering. Obviously it's slightly Dunhill icon looking bottle. It's heavy, but it is quite plasticky, but I think the presentation is pretty good, and it doesn't look as cheap as it actually is. But perfume wise, you're not going to go too wrong with this one. You do need to like cardamom, you do need to obviously like cinnamon, which is the point of this video. So if you are interested in a kind of a leathery, spicy, but very, very wearable Middle Eastern style fragrance, then you can do a lot worse than this. It's also one that, despite having this kind of Middle Eastern vibe to it, it does actually wear quite a lot like a European perfume, especially when the sort of the mad opening has passed. So this is highly recommended. It's a long-lasting fragrance. It's not a beast, and I know as I've mentioned, it gets called that, but I don't think it is. I think it's a really, really good perfume though, and exceptional value. So that's the first one, QAA'ED by Lattafa. Next up, we have a real classic, one that I think everyone should have in their collection, and also very affordable, and that is Jaipur Homme EDP by Boucheron. This is delicious. You can see this is a 100ml bottle. I've had it for quite a long time, to be fair, and there is a full review of it down below, but I've hammered this bottle because it's just perfect. It's a very fresh, spicy fragrance that can be worn all year round. It's really nice in warmer weather, but it works well in the cold as well. You have lemon verbena, and then you have the spices that come underneath it. So what you have is kind of like an exotic sort of style, barbershop style fragrance. So it is quite masculine. I think anyone could wear it, to be honest. It does lean towards the more mature fragrance enthusiast, but you can get this for under £40 now. And that's such good value. There is an EDT as well. I haven't tried that, so I'm sticking with the EDP because this is perfect. The performance is excellent. This is a long-lasting fragrance on me. I get a good day out of it. And I don't know, if you like barbershop style fragrances, if you like these sort of like, you know, kind of fresh masculine fragrances, that's great. You know, I do too, and I have quite a lot of them. But because of the spices in this, the cinnamon, the cloves, the cardamom, it just changes it a bit to make it a little bit more exotic, a little bit more interesting than a lot of the run-of-the-mill kind of, you know, masculine freshies or masculine barbershops. So this is well worth exploring. I don't think, you know, despite the fact it's quite spicy, I don't think there's a lot in here that you won't like. It is a difficult one to sample, but because it's not a particularly expensive fragrance, you know, if you do make a blind buy on this, and it goes wrong, you've not lost that much. But also it's quite popular, so if you're in any Facebook groups and stuff like that and you do grab it and it doesn't work out, you should be able to move it on without taking too much of a loss. So, you know, highly recommended. I really enjoy this one. It's a great one for work. It's a nice one for social occasions as well. It's good for just popping down the pub. But I particularly like this if I have to go into the office because it lasts me a working day and it just feels really, really nice, clean, but a little bit exotic. So Jaipur Homme EDP from Boucheron is there. Right, next up, another one that I don't wear very often that I really should, and that is Boss Bottled Oud, the only Boss fragrance I currently own. Now, there is a full review of this. This is one of the first fragrances we actually reviewed on Questioning Scents, and I do like this one a lot. When I bought it, I was kind of looking for a designer oud fragrance, and I tried quite a few, and this is the one that actually resonated with me the most, and it seemed to perform okay. It's not got great performance, but neither has like Versace Oud Noir, and you know, there's one from Polo as well. They all seem to be really short-lived on me too. This one was a better performer than the two aforementioned fragrances. But you have apple, and you have cinnamon, and then you have oud, and then you have some saffron, some sandalwood, some cypriol in the base. So it makes it quite an exotic wear. The oud is actually, it does smell like oud as well. Considering this is a real cheapie now, I'm surprised that the oud actually smells as realistic as it is. I don't think there is any real oud in this, never in a million years. But there may be, you know, you never know. But it does smell quite realistic. And I like the cinnamon, the apple and the oud together kind of blend quite well. It does have a slight Coca-Cola-like vibe to it, which again, I don't find unpleasant. But this is a good one. This is a nice cinnamon-driven, spicy oud fragrance with some apple, but the oud takes it away from being too much of a gourmand, so it doesn't smell like an apple pie. It just smells really rather interesting. An easy one to wear. And if you are, for example, watching this and you thought, oh, I might want to dip my toe into the world of oud, this isn't a bad place to start. Obviously, it's a lot, you know, more cost-friendly than, say, oud wood or any of the others that I've mentioned. So this is highly recommended if you like a sort of a darker daily wearing fragrance, if you like. So yeah, a decent one there from Boss, and that is Bottled Oud. Okay, next up, I'll get this one out of the way because obviously it's one of my lists, so therefore there has to be an Auto Parisi fragrance in the list. It's the law. It's written in my. No, it's not at all. Here it is. This is STERCUS. This is beautiful. It's one of Alessandro Gualtieri's more crazy production, shall we say. This is glorious. It's a good, fun fragrance. Obviously, the name STERCUS comes from the Latin meaning poop. So, you know, that'll explain why there's a slight Hindi oud kind of vibe to it. There's a slightly animanic feel in the opening, and then it becomes very smooth, very deep. There's some cinnamon in here. It's not listed because there's no notes listed, but I'm pretty damn sure I can pick cinnamon up in this, especially in the dry down where it becomes really kind of warm, sweet, dark and woodsy. A good fun one from Auto Parisi, and one that's well worth exploring. If you like your fragrances a little bit edgy, then this is perfect. STERCUS is great. I love it. I mean, the colour of the liquid says it all. Brilliant, brilliant fragrance. One for cooler weather. Don't be scared of it. You know, this sort of fecal note and that everyone goes on about. It's not really there. It's just a really dark, I think it's the castoreum in there that gives it that sort of kind of fecal impression. But it's not a dirty, pooey fragrance at all. It's a sweet, dark, woodsy fragrance with spices, a little bit of leather, a little bit of tobacco in the base as well. Really, really good one, and one I thoroughly recommend you trying. If you are in sort of Selfridges or Harrods or one of the more expensive department stores that carry Auto Parisi, give STERCUS a go. It doesn't get the love that it deserves, and I think it's one of the, I mean, it's an interesting collection for sure, but it's one that I really, really enjoy. So let's have another look at it. Oh, and by the way, the caps on these are just, I know Nasamato always gets all the love for the caps, but the Auto Parisi caps are absolutely brilliant. So that is STERCUS from Auto Parisi. Right. Next up, back to the House of Swedoff. This one, excuse me, this one pops up quite a lot. And this is Spice Surprise. This is sort of like a perennial appearer in my list videos. But, you know, Rich likes this one. I like this one. It's got this kind of spicy, boozy vibe to it. There's sort of dried fruit, there's wine, there's coffee as well, which kind of sets it going, and then the spices kick in. This is a really, really festive fragrance, and I mentioned this in another video before, but I hammered that pretty much every day last Christmas, and no doubt I'll be doing it the same. But it's this really intoxicating, dark, boozy, spicy perfume that was inspired by an ancient Roman recipe for a honeyed wine. So you have got honey in here. Honey and cinnamon seem to go incredibly well. This pops up in a couple of these perfumes in the list, but this is glorious. I absolutely love this one. It doesn't get talked about that much as, say, like Rasputin or Bohemian, but I think this is equally as good as any of them from the collection. It's a beautiful fragrance, very long lasting, polite performance. It kind of kicks out a bit to start off with, then it drops off closer to your skin, and it will stay there for hours and hours, so you've got it all day. It is, you know, as I mentioned, it is kind of festive leaning, but I think it works well on any kind of cooler day. I'm not sure if I'd wear it to the office if I worked in an office, simply because it's quite boozy. I'm not a massive fan of wearing boozy frags when you're going to be sitting around other people. But if you have like a job like mine where you work outside or stuff like that, this will keep you going all day, and it will make you smell rather lovely. And it's a fun fragrance. You know, this is what you want. You don't... I don't know, with perfume, you want lots and lots of things, but one of the things I really appreciate in a perfume is a sense of fun, you know, a sense of enjoyment. You know, I like to feel that the perfumers enjoyed making it, and I love to wear it, kind of thing. So there you have it. Okay, next up, we have another one that gets talked about quite a lot, and one I'm not a massive fan of, but I have to include it. And this is a red tobacco from Mancera. Yeah, I mean, I've spoken about this a lot. It's a tobacco, fruity tobacco, basically, with tons and tons of power. You've got cinnamon, you've got apple, you've got Mancera's version of oud, or AOUD as they like to call it. You've got saffron, you've got nutmeg, you've got lots of spices, and you've got some sandalwood and some vanilla in the base. Tobacco is the star of the show, but this sweet, fruity, spicy opening that blends into the tobacco is where I struggle a little bit with this one, because it's so potent. You know, I honestly, you'll never really hear me complaining about, you know, a perfume's projection or a perfume sillage or perfume's durability, but this one gets on my nerves after a while, so I don't wear it very often, which is a complete opposite to Rich, who adores this and wears it all the time. As you can see, I've had this bottle forever and I've barely made a dent in it, purely because I don't wear it that often, and it is very, very potent. But it is really, really loved and very well thought of by a lot of people. So I am going to include it because it does have a lot of cinnamon in there. And the cinnamon does suit it. It's just the rest of it. I kind of struggle a bit with it. But I will include it. You know, it's coming down in price. You should be able to get it for a fairly good price now. I personally, if I bought the 120ml, that would have been an absolute waste of time, because, as I say, I've had it for so long and this 60ml bottle's barely had a dent put in it. In terms of wearing it, it does get a lot of recognition. Lots of people think this smells great on me, and I'm sure it will on you too, which is weird, because it's interesting. I'll have to be right in the mood to wear this, and when I wear it, you know, lots of people, oh, you smell great, blah 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 blah. So it does get compliments, but it's just not a fragrance that I like wearing all the time. But you may. So if you haven't tried red tobacco, it's worth having a look for it and making your own mind up on it. Not a bad fragrance at all, just not one I love. Next up, another one that gets spoken about a lot, but not normally because of the cinnamon, and that is this one. Everybody knows this. This is often said, you know, the niche smelling bargain fragrance, and I kind of agree with that. It's by Natalie Lawson, who's a perfumer I adore, and I really like Bentley Intense, or Bentley Intense for Men, isn't it? Or Bentley for Men Intense, there you go. This is a big one. I remember being really, really excited when I first got this, and I loved it for about a month, and then I kind of fell out of love with it. Performance-wise, it seemed to really drop off very quickly on me. It had a very loud opening, and then it kind of just fell to be a skin scent. Lasted quite a while though, but it just didn't seem to perform very well. Nowadays, this seems to have really upped its game. Now, I know, you know, some people say bottles, perfumes macerate in bottles. I don't think it does. I think with the bigger houses, all the maceration's done before they're bottled. You know, the perfume will change a bit as air gets to it, and I think that may be what's happened, because the performance has picked up quite a bit on this. So you've got this sort of really rum-driven, boozy, woodsy, leathery fragrance with a lot of cinnamon in it. And it just, I don't know, it's sweet though, so you're going to have to enjoy a sweet, boozy fragrance. But I think it's well worth exploring. You can get these, excuse me, You can get these bottles really rather cheaply now. You can get them for under £25 for 100ml. Beautiful presentation, well worth exploring. It does get talked about a lot for a reason, because a lot of people like it. Unfortunately, on the flip side of that, a lot of people don't like it. So where you sit with this fragrance, I don't know. But all I can say, it's a well-made and well-crafted perfume that I actually really rather like now. As I say, had a bit of a mixed relationship with it, but it's firmly on the thumbs up side now. Okay, we are now down to the final three. Okay, the final three. So we're going to look at this one. This is the most expensive fragrance on the list here today, and that is The Other Side of the Oud by Atkinson's from London. Beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Unfortunately, it's expensive. It's to buy it from Atkinson's or from Harrods or something like that, it's around £160 for 100ml. I got this for an absolute song in one of the Facebook groups. I think I paid about £35 or £40 for it, and it's a pretty much a full bottle. Well, it was when I got it. I've worn it quite a lot. So do look out for this one because it's worth it. Atkinson's did a collection of perfumes that explored oud. Now, I went into Atkinson's flagship store when it was in the Burlington Arcade and had a chat with the guys there. And what they say when they say oud, they have used a Western approach to oud. So there's probably not any real oud in this. There may be, but I doubt it. And what they wanted was an oud for a Western nose. So what they've done is there's a few of these. There's God Save the Oud, Oud Save the Queen, The Other Side of the Oud, which is this one, and there's another one. I think there's 4 or maybe 5 oud fragrances, but this is beautiful. What they've done is they've taken this oud, they've taken lots of cinnamon, they've taken some coffee, they've taken vanilla, they've taken sweet woods to make a dark, exciting, sweet, enchanting perfume that has really, really good performance. It's not particularly loud, because that's not what you expect from Atkinson's. These are all about sort of gentlemanly fragrances, classic perfume type thing. So you have a long-lasting, sweet, dark and spicy perfume that wears incredibly well. It's beautiful. I love the coffee note in this because the coffee note stays all the way through the perfume. It doesn't just appear on the top and fade away. You've got this blend of sweet coffee, like a milky coffee, that fuses in with the oud and the sweet woods and the vanilla and the base. Beautiful stuff. Very cinnamon heavy though, so if you don't like cinnamon, you really are, well, if you don't like cinnamon, why are you watching this video? But if you do like cinnamon, this is well worth exploring. It's a beautiful frag. It is expensive, as I say, but if you can find it from you know, a reputable source for a low cost, then grab it. It's one I would really, really hate to not have in my collection because I rather enjoy it. Okay, the final 2. Okay, and here we have, this is from a company called Evody, and this is called Noir d'Orient. There is a full video, this one below, and this is a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. It's not one that gets a lot of talk. I don't think the brand is particularly well known within Fragcom or, you know, amongst perfume enthusiasts, but it's beautiful. The bottle's fantastic. This really heavy wooden cap is delicious. Sprayer is excellent. Everything about this is great, but it's a dark, woodsy, spicy fragrance. Now, this kind of reminds me, if you were to take, and I said this in the video as well, if you were to take Xerjoff's Ivory Root and Andy Towers' L'air du Desert du Marocain, or L'air d'Air du LDDM, and put the two together, you'd end up with something like this. So you have a dark, almost like a desert at night. So I would class this as a desert style fragrance. I think I may have just invented a genre there. I don't think, you know, we have barbershop, we have fougere, and now we have desert. And that's what it reminds me of. This is sweet, dark, woodsy perfume. It's absolutely beautiful. You have some rum in here as well that gives a little bit of booziness and some patchouli in the dry down that complements the darkness and the spices ever so well. It's quite long lasting, but it's a more of an intimate perfume. It's not one that, you know, if you want to fill a room, this isn't going to be it. But it does stay with you quite a while. And it's just, I don't know, it gives off a really sort of mysterious and enchanting aura around you when you wear it. So this is highly recommended. I was having a look onto internet this morning, and the prices for this are all over the place. So you can get it for around sort of £60–70, and then you can pay up to, like, I don't know, £150–160 for it. So if you are interested, do have a look around for it, or do shop around. I'm not sure if you can get samples from Evody, but if you can, do. Because this is such a barely spoken about fragrance, you're not going to find many people that would decant it or have it for sale. So you may have to kind of look around Facebook groups and things like that, because it does pop up. This came from a Facebook group, so it does pop up occasionally, but it's well worth exploring. I really enjoy this one. Again, I've had this quite a while, and there's a fair old dent in it, so it does get a good wearing. It's totally unisex. I think anyone can wear this. It may, because it's a darker fragrance, it may suit the more the more grizzled, the more mature fragrance enthusiast. I don't think the thrusters will be that keen on this one, although it is sweet enough for the thrusters, so you never know. But yeah, really worth exploring this one. And finally, my number one cinnamon fragrance, and that's from Montal. Hate the bottle, love the juice. And here we have it. And this is Honey AOUD. Really, really enjoy this fragrance. This is beautiful. It's a very long-lasting fragrance. A lot of people again say that this is a massive fragrance. I don't think it is. I think it has really, really good performance. I think it's got presence. I don't think it fills a room. I think a few sprays and you're good to go for the day, which is great. That's what you want. But it's a beautiful, sweet, honeyed fragrance with cinnamon, with Montal's or Mancera Montal's take on oud, which they like to use the word AOUD for. So you have this kind of almost medicinal sweetness that creeps in, and then as it develops you'll get this kind of amber-like nuances kind of come into the dry now. But it's sweet, it's textured, it feels almost sticky to the touch, which obviously it's not, it's a perfume. But it's lovely, it's very warming, it's very sweet, it's cozy. It's one that my wife wears, and now my wife likes and wears, which is unusual because she's not a massive fan of this house or Mancera. She finds them all just a bit odd. But this is one that she will wear, and I love to wear it too. It's a great one for a cold morning. When I'm, if I'm up early for work, I'll go out wearing that. It's all nice and warm and cozy, and it smells lovely. It really, really works very, very well on my skin, and I'm sure it will on yours. So, in terms of cost, I think Notino have the 100ml bottle for around the £60 mark, which is excellent, and you can get the 50ml or the 60ml for around the £30 mark. So it's not an expensive perfume at all, but it feels like it is. It wears very much like an expensive niche fragrance. So there you go. This is my number one, for a good reason too. This is a really, really enjoyable perfume. There is a full review of it down below if you would like to have some more information or to listen to my lovely voice as I spout yet more gush about Montal's Honey AOUD. So listen, there you have it. That's 10 fragrances that use cinnamon quite well. It's slightly more prominent in some of these than others, but cinnamon is a very important part of all these fragrances. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed the list. We'll be back soon with some more videos. Hopefully my throat will come back to normal and I will be off the antibiotics, so I'll be back to my usual chirpy chap self. Anyway, thank you very much for your time. I hope you've enjoyed the video and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. So cheers, thanks, and bye.